Hello and welcome to the Vital Premier League podcast. We are live, hopefully, anyway. I'm not having much luck with the technology tonight. Right, this week we've got myself, as usual, Ash from Newcastle. We've got Liam from Everton, Crippy from Man City, even though he supports Villa, and a special guest is Paddy, who has the lovely job of looking after us in terms of what we write and keeping us on the right track. But he's a Celtic fan, so that kind of throws the Premier League podcast idea out the window. How are you doing, lads?
All good,
yeah,
mate.
good,
All
cheers.
Good. Right, it's going to be a weird one tonight. Like I say, we are live for the first time. Obviously, when this is done, I've got some graft to do because I'm going to have to put some subtitles on for every time Paddy speaks.
I'll try and keep it nice and slow.
Right, we'll kick off as usual, looking back at our predictions from last week, and I want to kick it off just by saying I won. Hey!
Yeah, well, I was miserable. I was awful.
Yeah, I mean, considering that you are usually the one who at least gets the results right.
Didn't even back Villa, got punished for it. I deserve to lose.
Yeah, so you got what, 3?
Yeah,
three correct results.
Oh, yeah, not
Pretty
good.
Bad. Andy got 5. Liam, you got 6, and I got 9 by virtue of guessing the score right for the Chelsea-Arsenal game, which will never happen again, I'm sure.
No.
Right, so let's kick off then. The reason we've got Paddy with us this week is because he wants to basically try and tell us that Celtic would be able to handle life in the Premier League. So, say your piece, Paddy. How are...
And that kind of laugh, Crippy, is where the debate usually descends onto Twitter. No, I mean, listen, there's so many caveats to Celtic joining the English Premier League. It's not just as simple as if Celtic joined the league now, would they compete? That's probably a different question. But what we're saying is, if Celtic join the Premier League, they will obviously get all the benefits that go with that. So you get the money, you get increased revenue, you can attract a better quality of player, better quality of manager. That's not to say that the manager we've got is no quality, because this guy we've got now, Ange Postecoglou, is absolutely dynamite. So there's so many different caveats to that. And what I was saying, I think it was you, I was talking to Ash, was it the other week, that I genuinely think within 5 years, or was it talking to you, or messaging over Facebook, within 5 years we would be competing in the top 4, fairly, not easily, but fairly comfortably. Because you would obviously have, your first season or 2 would be the adjustment to competing against teams with higher quality of player. Obviously we know that, and there would be an adjustment for us buying these players that could compete in the Premier League. So you're probably talking within the first couple of years we would maybe struggle to reach top 10. We'd probably flirt with relegation, possibly. It's all if buts and maybes, but like I said at the start, usually when you get into this conversation on Twitter, it descends into my nan could do X, Y and Z, which just for me, that's where the conversation ends for me, because that's when the level of intelligence in the debate just goes. There's absolutely no point in speaking about trying to have a reasoned football debate about it.
Twice on here.
But that's the thing. I mean, like, if you look at the players who have ventured from the Premier League up to Scotland, who have struggled in the last, say, let's say, I don't know, 10, 15 years. I mean, I can go back and say, if you guys remember Tony Cascarino as well, he was one of the hottest properties in English football way back when he signed for Celtic. Struggled, couldn't do it. And it's not just as simple as it's because it's a Scottish, it's a Scottish league. There's a mentality that's required to come and play for Celtic. The demand to win every week is phenomenal. It's huge. Doesn't matter who it is, whether it's in Europe, whether it's in domestic football. The demand there to win by the fans and the supporters is there regardless, and to win well, not just to win by the odd goal. It's to win by 2 or 3 or 4. So that demand there, and Ash, you'll probably find that will come to your club the minute you're is it already there?
It's getting there now. We had a draw with Bournemouth the other week and the players got booed off the pitch. It was just
It's mental. It's absolutely mental. And same with Man City as well. I suppose there's probably a point where Man City supporters are expecting 4 or 5-0s against the likes of Bournemouth, Brentford, try to think Crystal Palace, these kind of teams, you know. So there is that kind of expectation on the clubs. But even when you look at players like, I don't know, Chris Sutton, who is a massive Celtic fan now, even he speaks of it, like when he didn't realise just how much the pressure was, how big the club was when he joined. He just thought Martin O'Neill got him to sign, come up here about a cakewalk. He soon found out that it wasn't quite as easy as he thought it was. So there's different levels of debate. We can descend into you're only a Scottish club if you want, but if you look at the different caveats of why we would be successful in the Premier League, and I'm not saying we'd be successful within the first year or two, within the next 5 years if we were in it, definitely, and I've got various reasons why. Don't know what you guys think about that.
I was going to say, do you fancy saying that aloud again? Because we've literally just gone live on YouTube.
Oh, you're joking.
No. It's just kicked into life up there, never mind. The recording will be up later on. You can.
That's fine. That's fine.
It's back.
Basically, you were saying that Rangers are bigger than Celtic. That's
pretty much what I picked up.
I'll keep the conversation to Celtic. The Rangers boys can speak about their own club if they want to.
I've got to say though, in all seriousness, I was expecting you to come in here and start giving it the big end and saying that Celtic would get dropped in the league and they would automatically be in the Big Four. But I have to say that was quite a sensible, reasonable declaration of confidence.
Only fans that are probably too passionate would say something like that. But that's what I was saying at the start. When you try to get into a reasoned debate with folk and try and explain the reasons why we would be successful, and I would imagine the majority of Celtic fans would. I mean, I don't speak for the Celtic fans. I can only speak for what I read on social media, what I write about. The majority would probably say the same that I'm saying now. Within the 5 years, not one fan would say within the first year we would go and win the Premier League. That would just be stupid. Just as stupid as people saying Man Ann could manage in the Scottish Premier League and win it. That's just a nonsense argument. And the different caveats I was talking about, see that's the sort of thing I was talking about there with Liam's v
this
thingy.
is something Paddy said, Ash said it the other week, didn't we? When we talked about Gerrard coming down.
Yeah.
Well, we can speak about that if we want. Celtic fans did predict that he would fail in England without Michael Beale, but that's another argument altogether. Michael Beale was clearly the brains behind that operation, but it's a completely different argument. But so one of the main caveats that I would take away from that is, if you look at it this way, when you look at the players we sell to the English Premier League, we're selling to teams that are, without being disrespectful, probably mid-table teams. So teams like Brentford, teams like Southampton, teams like way back when Victor Wanyama was with Swansea, and we're selling players of high genuine quality for what, 10, 12 million pounds. If Celtic are in the Premier League, we're not doing that anymore. We're selling players like Virgil van Dijk straight to Liverpool for £75 million. So there's another caveat there. We're then looking at higher investment in the club, higher transfer fees, the ability to attract more players, be able to pay higher transfer fees, pay higher wages. So there's that as well. So automatically when you're in the English Premier League, you cut out the middleman, you cut out the Brentfords, you cut out the Southamptons, you cut out the Swanseas, and you're going straight to the top four. So we would be selling players like Kieran Tierney, for example. We went to Arsenal. Yep, we went straight to a team like Arsenal. But if we're in the Premier League, we're not selling Kieran Tierney for £25 million. We're selling him for £50 million plus. So there's those kind of arguments as well. But when you try and have that kind of reasoned conversation or that reasoned debate on Twitter, it's pointless, because we all know Twitter's a cesspit. But it's also a great place.
There's no such thing as reasoned conversation on Twitter.
Nah, but it's also a great place to have. You will find the odd nugget of football fan that genuinely wants to converse about it and have a proper conversation, and that's what I'm looking to have today. So there won't be any pontificating. There won't be any. We will scalp yous. I know I was having a laugh at the start of the programme saying I'm kind of waiting to come on and tell you how we'd scalp yous every week. That just wouldn't happen. You've got to be realistic. That's the reason why I wanted to come and talk about it.
So you said it would take about 5 years to get somewhere around the European places.
Yeah.
How many players do you think you would need to bring in to hit that sort of level?
Wow. Well, there's another debate as well. I mean, are we talking, for example, if we drop the squad I've got right now into the Premier League, or
yeah, if it came out that Celtic were going to join the Premier League tomorrow,
yeah,
they would just jump straight in.
Yeah.
So you could carry your points total over as well.
Right. How many players do you think we would need to compete?
Yeah.
For the top four, or just to stay in the league?
To compete in Europe, to get into the European spot, how many players, how many years?
Wow. I mean, you're talking. I don't know what knowledge you guys have got of the Celtic squad at all. If you've got any knowledge of the Celtic squad, none.
A little bit anymore. I know Jota's having a good season.
Who? Sorry.
Is it Jota?
Jota.
Well,
if you look at
a few players in there.
And this is another point I was going to make. When you have conversations like this, half the people you speak to don't even know half the Celtic team, or even the 10% of the Celtic team. Whereas if you speak to people from Scotland looking into England, you could probably find that a lot of Scottish football fans know the majority of the English Premier League team's players, or at least their top 5 or 6 performers. But if you look at the Celtic team as a whole, we've got Joe Hart in goal. Joe Hart has done brilliant for us for the last season and a half. I would say we'd need to replace him. 100%, he'd be a good backup option. I love Joe Hart. What that guy's brought to this team in the last 16 months is unbelievable. He's certainly a different goalkeeper than he was when he played in the Premier League. And by that I mean maturity. What he brings to the table in terms of leadership, organisation. The guy is just phenomenal. But he is 34. Turning 35 this year, I think. So we need to look at getting another goalkeeper. Looking at the back line, Cameron Carter-Vickers has been a sensation, an absolute sensation for Celtic, and he's been amazing in Europe. So I'm not talking about just domestic. In the European scene, he's been one of our top performers, and you could see that we missed him when we played Real Madrid. We missed him when we played what was the team before that? Before Shakhtar Donetsk as well. You could see we missed that physical leadership in the back line. I wouldn't replace him, I'd keep him. I would get somebody stronger in beside him as well, left-sided midfield defender. For the full-backs, Greg Taylor, Scottish international, Josip Juranovic, Croatian international. I would be happy with both there, but with a good backup. I don't know if you want me to go through the whole team, because I'm probably speaking double Dutch to you guys, but I would say we would just need a quality striker for a start, because what Europe taught us this year is the strikers that we've got, who we absolutely love, in Georges Giakoumakis, Kyogo Furuhashi, they are deadly domestically, but when it came to just that European, that step up to Europe, they were found a bit wanting, even though Giakoumakis scored against Shakhtar at Celtic Park. But I think we would need 2 midfielders, a striker and a central defender and a goalkeeper. So five players of genuine quality, just 5.
You don't need to go the Nottingham Forest route, but there's definitely improvement needed.
100%.
Liam, how's the match going, buddy? I don't know if anyone's noticed that Liam's a bit distracted.
No, it's still 1-0 to Bournemouth at the moment, but it's the reserves, isn't it? So we'll ignore that.
Liam's just googling the Celtic team to see who is good and who's no good.
Now, the only one I know of was Jota. That was all it. And
I honestly didn't even know Joe Hart was there. I had no idea.
All right.
Are you being serious?
Yeah, well, I don't follow lower league football, so.
Yeah, to get a dig in, you got one in.
Wow.
There
you got one in.
That to be done.
It's descending already.
On you saying about the 5-year thing, I think your main issue would be to stay in the league.
Yeah.
In my opinion, because that is the difficult thing. I mean, we saw it last year. I mean, we have a squad that shouldn't be worrying even about relegation, but it happens to all of us.
Yeah. But
it's whether or not you can survive in the Premier League for the first couple of years, because no doubt you'll have the pull of your fan base, and obviously just Celtic as a name is bigger than a lot of teams in the Premier League, not to mention some other team up north, but we won't mention them. But no, I reckon, I wouldn't say comfortable European places, but I'd say easy top 10. But saying that now, it's 6+7 with Newcastle competing for Europe, then if we pull our finger out, we could be doing that in 4 or 5 years because it's going to take us time.
Well, if you look at, I suppose that the big thing is about getting the right man in place, and I think Everton struggled with that since you've lost Moyes, really. Moyes was the one that was keeping you guys comfortably top 5, top 6, I think, for 3 seasons in a row.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Comfortable.
Aye, easy. And the minute he left, and it's, I suppose, the same as Alex Ferguson at Man United. You lose that kind of leadership at the club. It takes time to kind of get that back. It's about getting the right manager, and we've been fortunate up here at Celtic that the last time we struggled to get a manager that knew what they were doing, I think was and this is going to sound bad, but this is since Tony Mowbray. Now, when you look at Tony Mowbray's achievements in English football, he's done really well for himself. He's done decent, but he struggled. He struggled to make any sort of impact at Celtic. So it's about getting that right place. And since Tony Mowbray, we've had guys like Gordon Strachan. I think Martin O'Neill was before Tony Mowbray. Martin O'Neill was before Tony Mowbray, with Gordon Strachan, with Neil Lennon.
Ronnie.
With Ronnie Dyler. Yeah, we had him. And for all the people who will snipe at Ronnie Dyler, that guy was a great coach. Just Celtic came too soon for him. His ideas were a couple of years ahead of where we were at. And then we've got obviously Brendan Rodgers, and then Neil Lennon again, and then Ange Postecoglou. So we've been lucky with the succession of good managers that have attracted good players, played good attractive football, and I think that's probably where Everton have probably struggled to kind of get that.
So in terms of your current Celtic team, how many of them do you reckon will get into, well, we'll go with Newcastle because they're the only team that's going to challenge this top 6 at the moment. How many of them do you reckon could get into Newcastle starting 11, if any?
I would say, my knowledge of Newcastle starting 11 isn't the best, right? I can only go with what I know for the Celtic team. I would say Callum McGregor and Jota would probably be your 2 main ones. Would make it. Other than that, maybe Cameron Carter-Vickers as well, but there wouldn't be many. I think, like I said, my knowledge in the Newcastle first team squad isn't the best, so I don't really know.
See, my only issue with that Carter-Vickers, is he the guy that you got from Spurs?
Yes.
Yeah, the Tottenham defender.
Yeah.
So, no disrespect, but if he was good enough for the Prem, surely someone else like Newcastle or even us, because we were looking for defenders, could have taken that chance on him.
Well, was he scouted?
Don't know, but
there you
it's
go.
one of them. Like,
he wasn't scouted, and that's the thing. What the problem with English Premier League football is, they want the finished article. They want that player that's going to make that impact, because there's so much riding on English Premier League. The teams, and I suppose it's the same kind of like Celtic. We need players who are ready to play in the first team. We can't afford to lose. English Premier League teams can't afford to get relegated. So there's no that opportunity for a player to come from a reserve team to make the step up into the first team. Cameron Carter-Vickers, he was a journeyman. I think he had 10 clubs before he actually landed at Celtic.
Yeah.
But at the 10 clubs, pretty much, not all of them, because I would be arrogant to say all of them, but I would say more than 70% of them loved the guy because of what he brought to the team. He just needed that opportunity to find a club that would embrace his style of football, and he's a no-nonsense defender. Me personally, I can't believe he wasn't picked up by a Premier League team. Genuinely, personally, I can't believe it. American international as well. You don't get an international cap, but I can't mind off the top of my head how many he's got, but I'm pretty sure it's well into double figures for being a reserve team player or a bang average player.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure we'll find out in the World Cup, won't we?
Yep, absolutely. Yep, we will, and we'll find out. Well, I suppose we'll find out how good Jota is as well, because he's now been called up by Portugal.
See, that Jota, I do like that Jota. It's something that I'd like us to potentially have a look at, because we've not replaced Richarlison, and he's that. I don't know if he is like that similar type of player, but he likes to can play off of the wing or as a striker, which is what Richarlison was.
Yeah, that's 100% what he's like, and the guy. I've not seen such a gifted footballer who's as comfortable with the ball at his feet in a long time. And I'm going to put my neck on the line and say since Lubo Moravcik. If you've ever heard of Lubo Moravcik,
Never heard of him.
wow, this is Slovakian international we had at Celtic back in 1998. This guy could do it, ball. And again, that's just down to scout. When we signed him, we were ridiculed. John Spencer went to Chelsea that year. He was tipped to go to Celtic, but we decided to spend 300 grand on Lubo Moravcik, and people thought, well, people in Scottish media thought, who the hell is this guy? Why do you sign John Spencer for an extra £300,000? And quite quickly, we found out that he's just a magician with the ball at his feet, absolute magician. So if you're going to Google anybody or YouTube two players, YouTube Jota, YouTube Jota, and YouTube Lubo Moravcik.
Going back to what we were saying before about players that Celtic might need to compete, Andy's in the comments and he says you can have Patrick Bamford for a fiver. So.
I think you should be paying us to take him.
I'll be honest. I'm always sceptical with this debate with Celtic in the Premier League, just because I've seen what's happened to like Villa and Everton, who have spent so much money. I think Villa have outspent quite a lot of clubs when it comes to bringing in players, and it's got them absolutely nowhere.
Yeah.
So I don't think Celtic, as big as they are and as big as the crowds they can get, they'd obviously get the investment because they're a big club. They can generate money. We know that. It's just whether they would beat off Premier League clubs for players if players want to go. I know it's probably not going to happen. They're going to be in the Premier League, so we have to be somewhat realistic. But if they were in the Premier League and then Scotland was a destination that players have to choose over the lure of playing in London or the London-centric clubs, that kind of thing, are Celtic winning that battle to get those players in? And does investment mean success? Because Villa have a 5-year plan, and we're, I think, just over halfway through that. And look at us. We've just sacked our manager and got a new one in. So it's always, I don't think they have a divine right to be up there. I think Celtic would compete purely based on the fact that they would generate enough money. There's enough interest there that people are going to watch them and put the money in, in the coffers, and they would be able to build a stronger squad than they have now. But I still think they're going to be meandering with Villa, Everton, Brentford, that kind of area. I don't necessarily think they could push up into the top 6 unless they were owned by someone super rich. I don't think there's a guarantee that just because Celtic do get attendances that are out of this world compared to a lot of Premier League clubs, is pretty impressive. I don't know if that equates success just because they're used to success in Scotland. And I think the fact that Celtic always play in Champions League against the biggest clubs in Europe can kind of hide the fact that they're not quite there yet. When if you have a ranking system of clubs, Celtic are obviously significantly lower down than the lowest Premier League club would be. But because they win the Scottish Premier League title most seasons, they get to play against the biggest clubs in Europe. So it gives that impression that Celtic are there when you look at their I wouldn't say performances, but results in European competitions, not making the last 16 for I think nearly a decade or so. It suggests that they haven't ever had that squad that's actually lived up to it for a while. I think it's fair to say.
It was nice work.
No, but I think it's fair. Listen, I would love to see Celtic in there, and I don't think they'd embarrass themselves because, like I said, they'd have a bigger budget. But I think in the last 10 years, they've had the chance to prove if they can do something in Europe at least. I think their group this season was difficult, but they haven't gone past the group stages, have they? So they're not matching clubs in Europe either way. So we're not even getting an indication that they're ready yet, are we?
But then why do you think
that is? It's basically hypotheticals.
Why do you think?
Well, we know why. We know it's investment. Totally. There's no denial. It is investment. So it is just a hypothetical, isn't it? It's always going to be.
But then if we're talking about hypotheticals, and we're talking about, let's say, but then you can't use that argument to say we can't compete in the English Premier League because that argument's moot. Because if you're telling me now that Celtic can't compete in the Champions League because of investment, then how can you tell me that we can't compete in the English Premier League when the investment would be there?
I would argue, how can we say that in 5 years' time Celtic will be a top 6 club? Because that's a very hard thing to achieve that not many clubs ever have the chance of doing. Villa tried it. We spent more money than the top 4, and we never got into the top 4. So I think Celtic would compete. I don't think there's this, like I said, a divine right to keep on moving up the table just because it's Celtic and just because they're a massive club. I think they would still be meandering unless their scouting policy was greater than the clubs around them, that they found some gems like Southampton did. But then there's also the thing of, can you hold on to players long enough to get into that top four without losing them to the bigger clubs? That's always the battle. Because if you look at the last few years, there aren't many clubs that have finished in the top six that aren't the big six, are there?
Yeah.
So other teams have spent crazy money. I think Brighton spent a fair bit last couple of seasons. Villa, we know, Everton, and haven't really come close. So I think Celtic would still have that challenge that we've had, sadly. So I would say they'd compete, but I wouldn't say in 5 years' time that they'd be in the top six. I don't think that's a guarantee at all.
If I could come back on that, Ash, if that's all right. So
Okay,
you mentioned, Crip, that Southampton, look at the players they got. Where are Southampton getting their players from?
No, granted, they got from Celtic, yeah.
So if you look at the players that we've sold to Southampton, right? So Virgil van Dijk, I've got a wee list here. Fraser Forster. Yep.
Yeah.
Wanyama. Victor Wanyama, Stuart Armstrong. There's 4 players who are now making an impact in the English Premier League. You're not going to sit there and tell me that if they're still at Celtic in the Premier League, they're going to Southampton. They're going nowhere. They're staying at Celtic. That's where they're
But are
staying.
they staying at Celtic?
Aye, of course they are.
Because why couldn't Southampton hold on to them then?
Why couldn't Southampton hold on to them?
Yeah, Southampton had a good season with those players in the squad, but they lost them too. They got picked off by Liverpool and whatnot. It happens, doesn't it?
Because
Tottenham.
Because with all due respect to Southampton, they're not going to win. They're not going to win anything. They're not going to win any trophies. But if you come to Celtic, you look at our scouting. Let me use your argument against you. So you're saying unless you've got a proper scouting network, then you're not going to identify players that can compete in the Premier League. But we've been doing that
unless you're overspending, yeah.
But that's just simply not true. We've been doing that for the last 20, 24, 25 years. When we qualified for the Champions League last 16, twice under Gordon Strachan, once under Neil Lennon, with a fraction in the budget. We're beating teams like Barcelona, Manchester United, AC Milan, Juventus comfortably back in 2006 to 2010. So it was when the TV money really kicked in. That's what killed it for Celtic, because let's just face it, there's no TV money in Scotland, there's not an audience for it, and that's what killed it. Since then, since I would say 2010, the amount of money that's invested into football in your big 5 top leagues, so your Spain, Italy, England, France, and Portugal. Let's pull that one out there. I think it's Portugal. Germany
Yeah.
has skyrocketed, whereas in Scotland it's actually decreased. So that's where it's come from. But no, their players aren't leaving for Southampton. They will go straight to your Liverpools. Virgil van Dijk will go straight to Liverpool, go to Man United. There was talk of Josip Juranovic getting scouted by Man United in the summer there. So we're not selling him to Wolves, or we're not selling him to whatever for him to make the next step up to Man United.
I agree there. I agree.
So
if the stats are in there, absolutely.
So the investment argument is moot, because the money is going to be coming into the club by doing straight player trades with the top 4 clubs in England already. We will be selling players to the Newcastle United for silly money. But I'm going to put a contentious opinion out there. I think the reason why teams like Aston Villa and Everton have struggled because they've had too much money. Because
wouldn't argue that.
Because they've had too much money.
Yeah.
Because what the 2 teams can do is they can spend £30 million on a mediocre player, whereas what Celtic have had to do in the last 20 years, and Rangers to a certain extent, is we've had to get value for money. And what we've done is we've shown that getting value for money works, and these players can also compete at the top level. So that would be my argument against that.
So that kind of leads on to the next point then, which was could English clubs survive Europe on a Scottish budget?
Yeah.
I think you've pretty much covered it there, but I think the difference in the budget between what you can spend in England and what you get in Scotland is the main reason for the big divide.
Do you know how much we get for winning the league in Scotland?
A few million.
£2 million.
Yeah.
2 million.
Yeah. What can you do with that?
And you get 100 million for surviving in the English Premier League.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? £2 million. It's phenomenal, and people are hearing this new Sky deal, £124 million, whatever it is, over the next 5 years is a great piece of business. No, it's not. It's less than what teams feel like Norway get, teams from Portugal get, teams from what's the other? I'm pretty sure Slovakia is in there. We get Sweden. We get less money than Sweden. So that reaction tells me that Aye.
I'll say to you, Paddy,
the whole picture isn't it? It's not out there. Yes.
But does Celtic have a minor benefit in that their only competition is Rangers?
There is that.
And they can somewhat develop youngsters with a bit more freedom because the level's lower than the Premier League. So younger players can get more of an opportunity. Someone like Carter Vickers on loan from Tottenham, he wouldn't have got a game with a Premier League club. No club wanted to take a punt on him. That's not saying he's a bad player. I've always said there's no such thing as a bad player. It's just one in the wrong club for now. And he's developed into a player now that could be a Premier League player. But he wouldn't have got that opportunity if that was another Premier League club looking at him, would it? But at Celtic, he can sort of get more games because he can probably handle that level a bit better to get that chance.
But Carter Vickers is 24. He's not a young player.
Yeah. Well, he's still, I say, if he's got another 8 years in him or so, it's still enough years to develop, isn't it, into a.
But he's 24. He's a grown man. He's just never been given that opportunity to step up in the Premier League. And again, it's just because the same as Celtic, it's so competitive. People just can't take the risk. That's why English Premier League clubs need the finished article, because they can't afford to take that punt, which is strange for me on a full international defender, 24 years old, who can clearly do a job. So he's not a young boy, just like Jota's not a youngster. Josip Juranovic is 27 years old. Let me see, Karl Starfelt's 26 years old.
Would you say it's less of a, even though Celtic obviously they have an expectation to win the title, and if you don't win the title within 2 years, you do get sacked. So
you
there
don't
is
win the
pressure
title
there.
in a year, you get sacked.
Well, yeah. So is there pressure on players coming in that it'll be a bit easier to be? I'm not saying that Scotland's necessarily easy, because some players do fail.
Yeah.
But is it somewhat easier for players to be successful in Scotland rather than the Premier League? In regard to Celtic having to be more shrewd in the transfer market and signing players with a low reputation that are cheaper, because the odds are they probably would fare better in Scotland than had they gone to England too early.
Well, there's a lot of players who Celtic have signed on big money that just haven't cut it the last 10 years or so. And it's like I was saying at the start, I don't know if it was caught live, Ash. It takes a certain mentality to play for a team like Celtic. Because
pressure.
The pressure's every week. It's not just, or it's twice a week. Celtic fans expect to win the Champions League. We expect to beat teams like Real Madrid, however unrealistic it is, because we're romantic.
You expect to win at home, don't you?
Yeah,
every
100%.
game at Celtic Park, they expect to win, no doubt.
100%. Regardless of the opposition, we expect to beat them. Look at Man City back in 2017. Nobody gave us an earthly. We drew one each. We drew 3 each actually at home after going ahead twice. And then we drew 1 each at the Etihad. But at home, we were disappointed to draw that game because we should have won. So there's that expectation, there's that pressure twice a week, not just once a week, it's twice a week, and then we take into account the domestic cups. We expect to win every single trophy. Not a lot of players can handle that. A lot of players can't do it. They just simply come up here. A lot of players come up from England or even abroad and thinking it's going to be a wee holiday in Scotland. It's not. It's a totally different ballgame. It's an easier league, yep, but it's no easier to play for Celtic.
Makes sense. Right, shall we move on to the proper Premier League then?
So we're not going to answer the question: can English players survive? English clubs survive?
I don't even
Scottish
think
budget?
No chance.
I'm not going to deny that. Yeah, it wouldn't happen.
I think you nailed the point home when you said what you get to win in the league. There, I mean, there's not a chance. The English players are just just buckle.
And that's why people like Jason Cundy on TalkSport and Jim White fries my head as well. You'd think that guy who made his earning in Scotland, who would know the situation in Scotland, would stick up for the Scottish League. But people like Jason Cundy, to a certain extent, the other boy who used to run Crystal Palace, Simon Jordan,
yeah,
who sometimes is fairly balanced, to be fair to him. But Jason Cundy fries my nuts because he talks about how we're an embarrassment. But I mean, that guy's career he spent 12 years in England. He spent 12 years at England and played for Tottenham and Chelsea and made 112 appearances in 12 years. Don't even get me started in his career.
No, he said some stuff about. Well, I think he's had to go at every team unless it's Chelsea.
It's just
always does. It's just for clout. It's just to get himself famous.
Shock jock mentality, which totally descends a proper conversation we're having here about Scottish football and English football and Celtic Rangers, the Premier League, into a complete farce with people like him. You just can't have a reasoned debate because he stokes that kind of debate. Anyway, sorry, I'm
right.
holding up your programme here, Ash.
No, it's fine. It's fine. We're going to move on to some of the talking points from over the weekend, and we'll start with the latest news. That is that Liverpool are for sale, and somebody, one of the Liverpool fans, put a poll on Twitter, basically asking, would Liverpool fans be alright if it was another big oil state or some oligarch that took over? And the resounding opinion was that, yeah, they'd be absolutely fine with it. Now, Liverpool, their fan base is one of these that keeps coming after Newcastle over and over again, calling us an oil club and calling us corrupt and murderers and things like that. So to have the heads turned all of a sudden because it's likely they could be joining us in the elite leagues with the money just stinks of absolute hypocrisy. So I'm hoping that Liverpool never find a buyer. Fenway Group runs it into the ground. Liam, you've been quiet, mate. What's your thoughts on this one, being a big Liverpool fan that you are?
Well, I don't know if I'm right in saying, but I'm pretty sure I read this morning saying the reason they put it up for sale is the failure of the Super League, which says it everything. Which says everything.
Yeah, there you go.
It's money. It's always money. They wanted to make bigger money, didn't they, and get Liverpool taking over a global brand.
They wanted to Americanise everything. Like they wanted to bring in, just like the MLS, which makes no sense. Like it's just ridiculous. Like there's a reason everyone tries to copy us and our league and how we do it, but they can't. Like it's not somebody else. They can't come over here and just change everything. But like, do you know what I mean? Like it's one of them. Like the reason they want to sell is because they've not got their own way, and they keep saying that they've been trying to sell the club for this and that. But like I'm with you. I hope they don't sell it. I hope they stick with them, and they can't get rid of it. And yeah.
I used to have nothing against Liverpool. In fact, I used to really like them, but Klopp's getting on me tits these days, and the fans who have come after Newcastle and now suddenly think it's all rosy because it might happen to them. Nah, can't be chewed with it anymore. We'll move on to some actual football from the weekend, and there's one point that we just have to talk about, and that's Kevin De Bruyne's dive on a penalty.
That was a shocker.
It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing, isn't it?
It seems like every week we get involved in this VAR debate, and nothing seems to ever get any better for it. I mean,
so was it a foul?
No.
There was contact. There is contact. You can see, but the way he fell doesn't connect with how the contact happened.
No,
it's one of those where yes, he was touched, but it's ridiculous.
My
issue is if he doesn't do those theatrics, he doesn't get that penalty.
Oh, 100% he doesn't get it.
No, he doesn't, but if he doesn't 100%. Do the theatrics, he gets the ball.
I thought what was quite telling was the linesman's reaction when the challenge came in. Linesman didn't move, and he's 7-8 yards away from the tackle. Didn't even flag for it, didn't even make any sort of suggestion to the referee that it was a penalty. It was a blatant dive. It was.
See, the other reason I think he's given it is because of the red card and penalty he's given in the first half. That's definitely been playing on his mind. He's given a red card and a penalty for, again, I think it was a shoulder barge. Don't think it was, most definitely not a red card.
It wasn't a red card.
It's a shoulder barge.
No. It was a penalty.
And
it was not a red
that's
card.
been playing on his mind. So he's have to I've got to even this up here.
I also think the City were hard done by with the goal that was ruled out.
The Haaland one.
scored. Yeah, it's that weird offside rule, isn't it? Where they draw the lines and he's offside.
Yeah.
Really, it was his knee of his leg that was off the ground that was offside. So, yeah, I know. By the rules of the game, yes, you can score with your knee, therefore he's offside. But it's so harsh.
Well, the offside rule is a joke. I mean, we've seen it. Was the United Liverpool game this season? Rashford looked like he was offside, but they flagged him on. And we had the exact same thing against Leeds, either that same weekend, and they give an offside. So, and obviously we've seen it with Haaland. They just need to have a rule. You're offside, you're offside, you're onside, you're onside. There's no drawing a line. If they've got 2 minutes to draw lines, they're looking for the offside. In my opinion,
I agree.
Yeah.
If it takes that long to come to it and it's not that obvious, it shouldn't be given.
Yeah.
But on the
we see it
dive,
in the Champions League. Sorry, we see it in the Champions League. They have that the new offside thing that they have. Just bring that in. It's not that hard.
Speed it up.
Yeah.
I wish that referees would just would say, yeah, there was contact on De Bruyne, but the way he fell and whatever, that wasn't enough to warrant a penalty. I wish that would become a thing where they'd say, well, then no, just because you get some contact doesn't mean it's necessarily a foul, because players get kicked all the time, and they're just choosing when they want to go down when it benefits them. And the problem is, the more that these penalties are given, the more players are going to do it.
Yeah.
It's clear as day, but you could see from the way he fell, it was awful. It's embarrassing to win a penalty like that. And I do wish that referees would say, no, I've seen that. Yeah, you might have got a little nick on you, but I'm not going to give that as a penalty. I don't think that's enough. Because like I say, think how many times players are holding in the box and the referees don't give it. They clearly see it, and they say, oh, 50-50, no, it wasn't enough. So why not have the guts to say, no, we're going to stop this now. Players that are trying to get the faintest of touch to go down, we're going to say, no, that's not enough.
Was it because it was the Sky Six? It was City.
There we go again. Yeah.
If that was the other way around,
would that go to Fulham? Yeah,
exactly.
Andy in the comments
I don't see it.
If that was a penalty, then there should have been a shootout in the Forest game. Didn't see it.
Yeah,
but I imagine
yeah.
there was a lot of diving going on.
I think what they should do is when they take these decisions to VAR, and it's a challenge like De Bruyne's, it should be an automatic yellow card for simulation. Automatic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I wish they would for the theatrical dive. Yeah. I really wish they would, Pat. I really wish they would.
They really should, and what you would find there is if you're going to go to VAR and try and find a penalty, like Liam was saying there, and you see that there's no penalty, and the guy's diving about like he's been shot, automatic yellow card, away you go, and that should be.
That's going to pick up the contact anyway.
So, interestingly enough, there's only 2 players that have been banned for diving after basically pulling the wool over the referee's eyes. One was Zaha, and the other one was Nias for Everton. He got a penalty at Palace. Referee and VAR looked at it, said, yeah, still a penalty. Went to the FA, they gave him a 1 game or 2 game ban, and the referee stuck by his decision saying, no, he's been touched. There was enough contact. It was a penalty. But only 2 players have been banned for it. And without banging the drum, Salah is notorious for diving every now and again. Bruno Fernandes, Ronaldo, everyone dies, but only certain players seem to, or certain teams get away with it.
Yeah.
Because if the referee saw that and as Pat said, booked him for diving De Bruyne, would people watching that go, oh my goodness, that was a horrendous decision? They'd say, no, it's fair enough, look at the way he's gone down. That contact wasn't enough for him to fall in that manner. And that's what referees should be saying.
100%. Any real football fan would be 100% behind that.
I think so. I've been kicked many a time, and you just don't go down like that at all. It takes so much effort to throw yourself down in that manner, because he's trying to sort of say he swung my leg out, but you can see his arms go in the air, and it's like, what are you doing?
I just don't know what it's all about, though.
I know, it's such an embarrassing effort to really hurl yourself to the deck.
It would be amazing if you'd done that and threw yourself down, injured yourself in the process, wouldn't it? That would have been
you first or something.
Yeah, that would have been beautiful.
He won't be doing the YMCA anymore, would he?
No, certainly not. We've had VAR kick-off in Scotland the last 2 weeks. You've probably seen it, and we've had so many dubious, Celtic alone, but this is not a Celtic-related one. We had a guy, Tony Watt, who was sent off after a VAR check for Motherwell against Dundee United, I think it was. It's supposed to be a high foot. So the referee went to VAR, looked at it, said, yep, red card. His club appealed it. He won the appeal. How does that even work? So these guys are... exactly. So these guys are paid to look at a tackle. And I think it took about 6 minutes to actually get to the decision to send them off. So within that 6 minutes... And if it's taken 6 minutes to get to a decision, it's not a clear and obvious foul. It's not a clear and obvious error, right? So that's another debate, though. But a 6, and it took it to appeal, got overturned. But the point is, the guy was unfairly penalised. His team was down to 10 men. Too late now. Okay, he's not getting a ban, but his team are down to 10 men.
Damage is done, isn't it?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
100%.
Well, that was the same in the exactly, the Villa game at Fulham. David Luiz got sent off, changed the game. And then that's the game that got Gerrard sacked, which I mean we all laughed about, but that's the difference.
Yeah.
He could have won that game and that's the catalyst and the change of the season. They could have stayed and obviously won the next 3 games, wherever it was.
Sure, though Villa not be too displeased.
Fans are probably glad it's turned out this way. Yeah,
exactly.
I can tell you.
We needed Andy in again this week. I mean, what are Leeds up to? Someone drug checked them and.
Can't be good for your heart, though, can it? Can't be good for the heart watching them.
Need to check their coffee for too much caffeine. That Leeds team,
isn't there? I mean, the last couple of weeks, Leeds have just been unreal. Do you think it's something that can last? Crippy? As good as the results are, when I see a team that concede a lot of goals, I think, well, they're going to have some bad weeks to come. I love boring, low-scoring wins because it shows that you can control a game, whereas Leeds are sort of they're fighting. There's no doubt they're fighting, and they're getting the result they need. But they're shipping a lot of goals, aren't they? And I think that if they can turn up that back line, maybe in January or something, that might be a way that they'll stave off relegation and they'll be able to stay in there. But that is one worry I do have because they shipped like 5 to Brentford early in the season, 3 to Fulham, 3 to Bournemouth, and I'd be as excited as fans should be right now. They turn the corner. I'm always the pessimist who's like, we do ship a lot of goals here, so I think they're going to have some hard games to come.
Well, they've got Spurs on Saturday, so that'll be a test for them.
That's a
exactly.
Spurs are playing.
Depends on what Spurs turn up, though. So
yeah,
true. Speaking of Spurs, Conte, bit of a mental. Did you see him getting another yellow card at the weekend?
I've not seen it now.
What did he do?
I don't know who it was. He seemed to go up to somebody on the other bench and just smack something out of their hand.
Is that why he got for? I've seen it now. Wasn't the ball? Yeah.
But he's just come back from a suspension in Europe.
Pressure's getting to him again.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, because
3 defeats in 4 must be frustrating.
Yeah,
I think it's more a case he doesn't want to lose his hair again. He doesn't want to pay for another hair transplant. That's what it is.
What I was thinking, the way he was going.
Embrace it.
Exactly. Syrup was all over the place. I have to talk about Newcastle. Specifically,
we have to.
Miguel Almiron.
Of course.
I just wish I had that clip the other week where Liam, you were ready to put the boot in on Miggy, and then you said, "No, I better not because he's bound to score against Everton next week." And I don't know, it's between you and Jack Grealish. Kind of thing.
But I'm giving that one to Jack Grealish. I mean, to slag him off on national TV saying turn into Miguel Almiron to Bernardo Silva.
Yeah, and then
bang
to
out
play
of
the
order.
way he's played this season as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And obviously Newcastle knocking 4 past Southampton to signal the end of Ralph Hasselhoff.
Sorry, but Ash, can I just say on Miggy, I love his comeback because it proves something with players that how important confidence is. Because players can come back from the summer, they can get fit or whatever, but Miggy wasn't exactly firing at the start of the season. He had a bit of a slow start. He always works hard in games. That's why fans loved him, because his effort levels were always up there. But it was the fact that he would never take shots on. Because I remember when I would cover Newcastle, he'd always finish a game with no shots. No shots. He's like, you're a forward player. How are you not getting the ball in those areas to have chances? And because he wasn't backing himself. But when he sees that one goal go in, he realises, hold on a minute, I've got the talent here. And it just changes how he plays. Because now he's not afraid to want the ball in those areas where he can score goals. And he'll start to be more of an important player, and his teammates will trust him more. So it's self-serving. When you become more confident, you want more of the ball, you want more shots. Then when your teammates see you can deliver, they give you more of the ball as well. And he really is. I'll give Eddie Howe credit because clearly he's got into his head and said, Miggy, you are a good player. You need to believe in yourself. That's all that's lacking here because your effort levels are great. You're a winning runner, good running with the ball. But clearly he just must have had a block or something that he just felt he wasn't good enough for the Premier League and maybe the criticism was getting to him. But he's really turned the corner, and I don't think it's an accident at all. I just think it's a case of him believing in himself and his manager giving him enough confidence and say, I'm going to keep on playing you until this clicks. And now he's there.
What it is, we were talking about it last night I wasn't specifically, but I was watching a podcast last night, and I was in the comments, and we were saying that the thing with Miggy now is he's doing things without thinking. He's doing things on instinct. He's not giving himself the time to doubt himself or to second guess. He's just hitting them, and they're going in because he's got the confidence now, and he's out of his own way. He's out of his own head.
Yeah.
And it's there was a stat. I think 19th in the scoring charts across the top 5 leagues in Europe, above Lionel Messi, but he hasn't got a single assist because he's just hitting goal instead of trying to pass.
He's not. He's not scared to take the chance on himself now, not looking for a teammate instead. He's the one who's saying, "No, I'm good enough to put this chance away myself."
Exactly.
That one he put in the top bins as well from the edge of the box was outrageous. That said it all for me. He would have never done that. Well, he never would have done that, would he? A year ago, not a chance would he even attempted it. He would have thought, "I'm going to embarrass myself." And that when that's in your head when you're playing a game, you can't play at your best because you're not even thinking about the match. You're just thinking about the outcome because you don't back yourself to succeed. Absolutely. So I just wanted to get that in because I love players that change perceptions based on confidence, and it shows how. As good as much money as is spent and as good as you're meant to be from a former club, you really have to take care of the mental side of it because that can make or break you.
Definitely. Liam,
did he mean his goal though? Did he mean his goal?
Which one?
Where the defenders come in. Did he mean? No. So where the defenders come in against Southampton, where he's let the ball roll past him.
Oh, did he?
The Sky was saying behind?
That. No,
I don't think he did. No chance.
If he meant to knock that behind him, then Miguel Almiron is the best player that the world has ever seen.
When you let
there's no way in hell. There's no way in hell he meant it. He was just pure lucky. Liam, you had a bit of a reaction there, mate. What's happening in your match?
Yeah, Bournemouth just scored a second.
Oh, pump.
I just laughed. I just laughed. So the ball's gone back to leading up to that, me and just passed the ball out for a throw-in. So I was just like, sound. Looked up again. Begovic is giving it to Holgate. As the ball's coming to him, he slipped over Finner, he just fell over, and he scored.
Fantastic.
So, 2-0 down,
you,
50th minute. Just get the kids on. That's what it is. Some of these players I don't think we'll see again this season, and probably good.
It sounds like it might be a good thing.
See that kind of result, Liam, does that not frustrate you as an Everton fan? That the Carabao Cup could be an opportunity for silverware because most teams.
Well, I was saying it to Ash before, like when I said we're playing our reserves, he said, "Is this something?" Well, no. At the end of the day, it's a cup. It's a competition that we can win.
100%.
And my mate asked me today who would I start, and I said I'd only swap maybe 2 or 3 players if we can.
Yeah.
But that's because of injuries. We've had Gay, Onana and Calvert-Lewin who went off injured on the weekend, and they're the only 3 changes I'd make. I'd maybe give Patterson the start because I think he needs his fitness and things like that, but it's just infuriating. Like Alexis has been sending me messages saying this is just ridiculous. He's just said he doesn't even know what he's been watching, and I've just said the same. We're making a triple sub now. We put Gray, McNeil and Iwobi on. So he's going for it because he's taken off Holgate, but 2-0 down now.
2-0 too late.
I just don't understand that. Teams like Everton, Aston Villa.
Don't get me started on Villa.
But do you know what I mean? Because let's
face it,
I
wanted us to challenge.
The big 6 don't care about the Carabao Cup, but it's a cup. So you get to Wembley playing a cup final.
It'll save your job if you're a manager under pressure. A cup run will save your job if you're not doing too well in the league. But I remember Paul Lambert at Villa was like, "Oh, I want to focus on the Premier League." I was like, "Paul, mate, you're going to get sacked. You need something to get the fans up and excited." Well, you just were discounting it.
Yeah. Well, the FA Cup saved Alex Ferguson's job, didn't it? Before he went on to rule England for the next 15 years, because he was ready to get the sack before he won the FA Cup.
Yeah, he was close.
Right.
We only have to look at City. Their focus on that League Cup when the first cup they won when they beat Ash's lovely Sunderland. That was the start of it, wasn't it?
That's a catalyst.
Just getting used to winning. Winning a trophy.
Yep.
It's like I said to
that mentality
before we started. Nobody expects us to be where we are in the league, so it's nice for us to be there. But we shouldn't be putting all of our eggs in that basket. Nope. We need to go out tomorrow against Palace and make sure that we win in the cup and have a good cup run, because the league's pretty much sewn up now. We're not going to get relegated, that's for sure. So
imagine.
I just think exact opposite of last season.
Clip it.
But see, if I was a Newcastle fan, Ash, I would be demanding that Eddie Howe would go for a cup, because
I'd love it. Yeah,
I genuinely think, see, next year you guys will be challenging for the Premier League, and what better way to challenge the Premier League knowing you've won a trophy, having that winning mentality.
That's exactly what I think we should be doing.
100%. Go for the two of them. Go for the FA Cup and the Carabao
we
Cup.
need to finish higher than 11th this year in the league, and that's success.
Yeah.
So if we can get a cup on top of that as well, then we're laughing.
It's a curse for Newcastle in the way that they're in the top
chat
4.
there, Ash, as well. Sorry, Crippy.
Go on.
I think Andy's put something in the chat there about make the Champions League places go to the FA Cup winners, and the Carabao Cup winners might take it more serious. Teams will make it more serious.
Yeah,
so the likes of Spurs United, Tottenham, Arsenal, Liverpool, any of those teams that might miss out on the top 4, like, well, actually, you know what? We need this FA Cup. We need this Carabao Cup. It's a place in Europe.
Exactly.
I think Newcastle being in the top 4 is almost a curse in a way because they actually have a genuine chance of getting Champions League football now. There will be that thing of, let's not risk our best players in a cup competition. Let's just push for this. Because at the end of the day, if you're thinking on a business decision, it makes more sense. It does. The money you can bring in for European football, the players that want to play for you afterwards, it does make more sense. Winning cups is purely for the fans to boast and to gloat for that period of a few months before the new season comes in. But if Newcastle were, say, 7th in the league and we're looking good for 7th but not going to push on, they'd probably say, yeah, I think we can risk a few players for the cup as well. It's just because Newcastle have a genuine chance now of getting that top 4. If they keep their best players fit, it's probably going to be the reason why they don't push maybe as hard as they sadly weren't.
The poison chalice.
It is in a way.
I think he's need to go all out for Maddison in January though. He was
100%.
different gravy on Saturday night.
Did you see Tielemans when he announced that Maddison was man of the match?
Yeah, they gave him man of the match. It was like,
he
sorry,
gave the classic Liam Kelly eye roll.
Can I go back to that point Crippy made about you guys making the Champions League? In all honesty, right? No. This is a genuine point, right? And you might laugh at this, but what difference does it make you guys get to the Champions League in a business sense, right? And the reason why I'm saying that is because you're the richest club in the world. In a business sense, you don't need the Champions League. What you guys need is to win silverware. The Champions League is that for me, for the outside looking in, is a short-term view. It's short-termism. If you're going to make a proper fist of challenging for league titles, challenging for trophies, I would forfeit the Champions League any day of the week for a trophy if I was a Newcastle fan, because you don't really need it in a business point of view. Next year, when it comes to playing the Champions League, it'll be great as a spectacle. You're not going to win it. Let's face it, you're not going to win it next year, but you could win 2 trophies this year. I would take that all day long.
You're right.
I'd personally take
trophies, but the money that you get from the Champions League offsets financial fair play, which gives us license to spend more.
Yeah, it allows you to spend more, doesn't it? And it brings a bigger pool of players that want to join you. I know players want to join Newcastle because of whatever, but if you're in Europe, you can get a crazy name that just thinks, they're in Champions League now, why not? Still playing in the big games. It does just give you a few more, that upper echelon of talent that want to join. I do think it does help them.
No, I agree with that to a certain extent, but I just think even at that, people are going to sign for Newcastle anyway, Ash, regardless. They're going to, because they're in the English Premier League.
Of course, yeah.
Richest club in the world. Same with Man City as well. To a certain extent, same with Everton and Aston Villa. The money you guys can offer players is phenomenal compared to other clubs. But for me, I would, if I was a Newcastle fan, I would forfeit Champions League just for one season, because what will happen is if you win that first trophy, that could be the catalyst of years of domination for you guys. But until you get by that mental block of winning a trophy, it might not happen.
Yeah,
that's just a good question, isn't it?
That's
would
just
fans prefer a cup or Europe? That'd be a good question, wouldn't it? If you had the choice right now, would you prefer a cup run to win a trophy this season or get top 4? I think that's a fair question that fans might be torn on.
Take the trophy this season.
100%.
Purely,
there you go, yeah.
Because it's been too long since we've had one, but also Europe could be a big distraction next season now. The squad isn't big enough to deal with it.
Well, if you win a cup anyway, you get Europe as well.
You do get Europe, yeah.
Well, true, yeah, but
obviously it's not Champions League, but it's a platform to attract bigger names and better players.
Yeah,
I mean, you've already done it without Europe because of the money, but it's the European football, isn't it?
This year is one of the reasons we're so high up in the league is because we don't have to play twice a week.
If you were to offer me right now, last 16 in the Champions League or the Scottish Premier League title, it would be the Premier League title all day long. All day long.
Of course, if you're a manager, you always want that in your belt, don't you?
Oh.
That. We were the best team that season. You cannot take that away from us.
Yeah. Plus, it's a trophy, and you get to celebrate it. You get to, do you know what I mean? It's about the bragging rights. It's about all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
it's a glory.
Physical.
Last 16, right? Okay, great, but what does that get you?
Good for the nerds, isn't it? Good for the football nerds who are looking into that. But it's not a trophy you can take home, as you say.
Exactly. It's a physical representation of an achievement, whereas
whereas last 16 is just last 16, just like the top four is just the top four. You don't get a trophy for finishing third in the Premier League. Do you know what I mean? But you get a trophy for winning the FA Cup. Well, aye, that's.
Right, I did have one more point to go through tonight, but we'll put it on next week because we're already over an hour and we haven't.
Sorry, that's my fault.
Yet, so
I'm bad too, Pad. I chat too much.
The Crippy and Paddy show.
Yeah.
Paddy, are you getting involved in the score predictions? I know that your Premier League knowledge isn't great, but I just make them up as I go along. So
I think my Premier knowledge is quite good. My first team knowledge in Newcastle isn't great.
Fantasy Premier League team would say otherwise.
Well, before we do the predictions, then can we ask what we ask every other guest on Ash? Yeah.
Well, what's your favourite sandwich?
No. I don't know. Who, in your opinion, Paddy, is the bigger club? Everton or Newcastle?
Oh, how do you define a big club?
There you go. That's
Well,
your decision.
that's up to you. Yeah. So who's bigger out of Everton or Newcastle for you?
My heart says Everton because they've had previous their history.
Yeah.
And because of their history, they've won the English First Division. I'm sure they've won a European trophy as well. Won the FA Cup.
Yeah, League 9 times, Cup Winners' Cup, FA Cup 5 times.
Yeah. Simply down to
tattooed
that.
on the back of your hand.
No, it's just,
He's always got that ready to go.
But that's the thing. How do you define a big club? It's if you're talking about in terms of fan base, man, I don't really know. I'm not in a position to say how big Newcastle and Everton are, but in terms of history and tradition, I would say Everton.
See, the argument was, I think it was with Andy. The argument was about fans, and Ash was like, "Oh well, we didn't want to give money to Mike Ashley." Well, at the time, I agreed, and I thought about this the other day. You support Newcastle, you don't support Mike Ashley. It's like we have Bill Kenwright, no one likes him.
Yeah,
we had Rafa Benitez in charge. We still sold out. You support the club.
It was part of the protest to get him out. The only way he would listen to anything we said was if we hit him in the pocket.
100%.
10 years of pain, wasn't it? And two relegations and
And I certainly can relate to that from Ash's point of view, because Celtic fans did that way back in the 90s to get the Kellys and the Whites out because the club was about to go bust. And if we didn't, what the Celtic fans did was they boycotted pretty much every game. We were getting attendances of like less than 10,000 some weeks. Some years we under that directorship or that leadership, we were finishing 6th in the Scottish Premier League, and we decided to boycott the club, not because we didn't support or love the club. It was to get them out, and then the Fergus McCann era started, and 20 years later we've won 16 out of 20 trophies, Premier League titles.
Yeah,
I mean Rangers weren't there for 4 years, weren't they?
Aye, but they were there for a quadruple treble and for a 9 in a row.
Nah, fair enough.
So they were.
He was ready, Leo. Don't
Do you know,
I try and get in a little dig.
Yeah, I know.
We get hit with that argument all the time, but they were there. The Rangers were in that league. What they'll come back and tell you was, but we were rebuilding. It doesn't matter. The history books don't show you're rebuilding. Just like when they won their 9 in a row, when Rangers won their 9 in a row, Celtic were in the total disarray. Like I said, finishing 6th in the Premier League, 4th, 5th. Aberdeen and Motherwell were their biggest challengers. Does that make their 9 in a row any less meaningful because we weren't there? Absolutely not. So that argument again is just daft.
Shite.
That's fair.
Right then, Crippy kickers
so,
off.
but like you said anyway, Everton bigger than Newcastle. And then, so Crippy, City Brentford.
I took away.
But I'll tell you what. To balance it up a wee bit, the best footballing side I've ever seen in English.
No, you don't have to.
English Premier League.
No, leave it as that.
In the English Premier League was Newcastle. Kevin Keegan's Newcastle.
Yeah.
Wow, man! What a team that was.
We're not far off that again at the minute. Right?
Aye, well that's true. But that's the best footballing team I've ever seen in the English Premier League was Kevin Keegan's Newcastle. Loved that team.
Yeah, it was good to watch.
Yeah.
You never watched Rafa Benitez last season, then.
Man City versus Brentford. Let's get on these predictions so people can go to bed or whatever. Cribby, kick us off, my friend.
Yeah, I went for City 3-1 to win 3-1. I think it's at home. They score goals at home. Should be straightforward.
Yeah, it's a case of how many.
And no one gets sent off.
Well, Liam.
City 4-0.
Nice. Paddy, what have you got on this one?
If Christopher Ayer's playing for Brentford, I tip him to score a 1-0 win. A 30-yard thunder blaster by big Christopher Ayer, so that I can write about it in my site the following Sunday and get 30,000 hits.
If that comes true, I'm retiring this
Oh, I won't at the end of it. We'll have to get him back on, won't we?
Oh, wait.
Again,
If that happens, I'm definitely coming back on.
The Oracle.
I've got 4-0 as well. I've gone the same as Liam.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go 3-1.
Oh, see you, Liam.
There you
He's
go.
back.
I'll go 3-1 Man City in all
Bournemouth to score
seriousness.
again? 3-1.
Yep.
Yeah.
Liam, what happened there, mate?
I don't know if you come to me, but for some reason my sound's just completely gone off. So just give me a minute.
You were just paused there, but you're all right. You're back now.
Yeah, we can hear you, okay?
Right, Paddy, what have you got? Bournemouth versus Everton, which is obviously
That
a
should
repeat
be.
of what's happening tonight.
I'm taking Everton for a 2-0 win.
Yeah, I think there's got to be more chance of Everton overcoming Bournemouth in the league than there is in whatever team they put out in the cup tonight.
Oh, former Celtic star Ryan Christie will do a 40-yard wonder dribble, take it round every Everton player and score a tap
Right,
in.
I'm back now, so I've heard you taking it around every Everton player. So let's go again.
Yeah, he's not happy.
I actually tipped you to win 2-0 against Bournemouth, but I did say that from a Celtic point of view, former Celtic star Ryan Christie will do an amazing run, 40-yard run, and tap it in for a 1-0 Bournemouth win.
And he's putting his predictions in on the comments. He's got City 4-0. He's also back in Everton 2-1.
So
Cricky, what have you
Bournemouth haven't won in 4 games apart from tonight when they're winning, of course. You know.
I always tentative back in the away win. Everton, I'd say, are the better team, but I would still say 1-1 I just don't know if they've got enough.
I'm back in Everton 2-1. Liam, what are you doing, mate?
So whenever we play Bournemouth, for some reason, it's always like mad results. There's always goals, and I'm gonna go 3-2. Got to back the boys, haven't I? 3-2 Everton.
It can't be any worse than what they're doing tonight.
It's the reserves are out tonight, isn't it?
They'll respond, won't they? That can sometimes be a thing, can't it? If you lose the cup game, but then they're fired up to win the league, it can happen.
Well, half of these players won't play on Saturday, so
Yeah.
that's the difference.
Or
Half of Bournemouth's players won't play on Saturday as well, but it's one of them.
True. We'll go Liverpool, Southampton. Liam, your favourite club?
They won't have a manager now, do they? Southampton.
No. We haven't got a
After
replacement.
4 years, Ralph is gone.
It's got to be a
Hasselhoff is out.
standard Liverpool 4-0. Oh, Damari Gray just bagged 2-1. Come on.
Woo!
4-0 Liverpool.
4-0, that's a big one. Cricky?
I went 2-1 Liverpool. I don't think they're out of them. I still think they're going to have to fight for some results.
Yeah, 100%. Paddy, what are you thinking?
3-0 Liverpool. But from a Celtic point of view, former Celtic star Stuart Armstrong rasps a 30-yarder off the backside of former Celtic wonder kid Virgil van Dijk into the back of the net for a 1-0 win. There's always going to be a Celtic view on this.
There is a connection.
Results to come true, you know.
So,
Look at all the players that have
Andy's
went from
gone
Celtic
for
to
it.
It's proven Paddy's point, though, isn't it, now? Because there's players littered throughout
Yeah,
every
he's got
team,
one
isn't
for
there,
every
from
game.
Celtic?
Yeah.
I know.
But in all seriousness, 3-0 Liverpool.
Andy's got 4-0 for Liverpool, and I've gone with 2-0 for Liverpool.
he's gone with Liverpool. Want to point out
Liverpool. Yeah, like Crippy, I think it should be easy enough for them, but I don't think they're quite at their spanking people best yet.
Southampton will respond, won't they? They've not got a manager now, so they're going to get a different kind of different kind
They're not
of
going to
animal.
get the same Villa bump, though, are they? They're not going to go out and tonk someone 4-0.
Imagine
Yeah.
that. It would be funny.
Forest versus Palace. Paddy, what do you think?
Odds on Edward to score. Former Celtic star.
Another one.
2-0 to Crystal Palace.
That's actually probably not a bad shout, that
Yep.
one. Crippy, what are you thinking?
I went 1-1. Forest, they're better lately, Forest, and I think at home. I think it was one of those. If it was at Palace, I'd back them all day. But I think Forest are becoming a bit of a harder team to face now. I think they can get a point.
Yeah. What are you thinking, Liam?
I'm going to go with Palace. I mean, they beat my beloved Eddie's West Ham on the weekend, which was lovely. I mean, he's off work this week as well, so I've not seen him, but I sent him a message straight away.
Just know he's
But,
been fuming.
Yeah, he said why he's out. And we're not going to get into that one, but like, yeah, Palace 2-0.
2-0.
Might get into it next week, wouldn't they, if they don't win?
Yeah.
True. Andy's got them 2-0 as well. And I've got Palace 2-1. Again, I think Forest are a bit tricky, so I think they will get a goal, but I still don't think they've got what it takes to beat Palace. Tottenham Leeds. Liam, how are you seeing this one?
Which team turns up for both, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I reckon Leeds might get a result. I'll go with a 1-1 draw.
Interesting one. Paddy, what are you thinking?
I'm going to go 2-1 Leeds with former Celtic defender Leo Hilda scoring from a corner. Is
So
one
he's
of
just
our
making them up, and we kind of question them because we've never heard of them.
yeah Leo Hilda was one of the top prospects coming to the academy at Marco Bielsa. Is it Marco Bielsa or Bielsa signed last summer? He's played for him for about 10. He's made about 10 appearances. Come on, you guys should know that. It's your league, no mine.
He's doing
It's Leeds, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
No one
True.
cares about
But,
Leeds.
Nah,
Andy cares about Leeds, but he's got them getting beat, so
Yeah.
Andy's got
Andy.
them going down 3-2.
Jeez, oh.
What about you, Crippy?
I had Tottenham to win 2-1. I think Tottenham, they need to buck up. They've lost twice at home on the bounce now. They've got to buck their ideas up. But I think they'll do it. Probably won't be pretty, but yeah.
Yeah, I've got them winning 2-1 as well. I think Conte went in and threw his wig at them all.
He'll be angry, won't he? He's going to demand something.
Kick the shit out of them.
Kick a player, kick a ball.
Yeah. West Ham versus Leicester. Oh, it looks like I changed my mind on this one. I've gone with a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, you can see that.
What are you thinking, Crippy? You going the same?
I did go West Ham to win at home, but I could easily see a draw as well because West Ham have been a bit iffy lately. But I'll stick with backing them.
I'm going to go with Leicester got a wee dunk there, didn't they? Beating Everton, and former Celtic manager Brendan Rodgers going to save his job. We can do this all night, lads.
I want to see how many more there are. I'm looking forward to this.
Many fixtures we got left, Ash.
Three.
Highlight this.
Three on Saturday and a couple on Sunday.
Yeah, 4 more to go.
Right, keep them coming. I'll see if I can think any more.
What's your West Ham Leicester one then, Liam?
Leicester 3-1.
Leicester 3-1. Ooh. Madison,
It was just so good.
Tielemans, that goal.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I mean, as soon as Tielemans put that on his thigh, I knew it was going in the back of the net.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's brilliant.
Madison,
Only
who cut his
signing
teeth
that
in the
made
Scottish Premier
FM23.
League.
Couldn't score. No?
Did he?
He'd
Matt-
have a field day.
Madison, yep, he played for Aberdeen 4 years ago.
Well,
There you go. On loan, he was an absolute sensation up here.
It's unreal. Newcastle.
Yep.
Talented player.
Have I said Andy's gone 1-1 on that one?
You didn't,
which
but
is
yeah,
what
no.
I went with. Newcastle Chelsea. Liam, how are you seeing this one?
Oh, it's a tough one.
It is, because Chelsea will need a response as well. What time's your kick-off? Makes all the difference to me.
That's a good question. Sure, it's on the telly, so
2 o'clock?
2 o'clock rings a bell, but it's the Saturday, isn't it? So I don't know.
Or the Saturday? I'm going to go Chelsea 2-1.
Really? Let's have a look. I'll just double check the kick-off time. 5:30.
I'm going to go Chelsea 2-1. It's going to be
Under
raining.
the lights, back in the away team.
Yeah, it's going to be raining. Sterling's going to have a field day.
Does he play better in the rain?
I don't know. I'm just making it up.
No proof.
Crippy, what have you got, mate?
I went 2-1 Newcastle. I think you have to. They won 3 on the bounce at home. Chelsea got panned to Brighton away. I just think, why not?
Yeah.
But it's one of those results, isn't it, where the form book says Newcastle, but then you watch the game and it's that mentality again, isn't it? Will they be overawed by Chelsea or not? You know, if they believe in themselves, they can get a result. But it's that fear, isn't it? It's still Chelsea at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'll go Newcastle.
Paddy, what are you thinking?
I'm going to go 2-1 to Newcastle. I think former Celtic target Eddie Howe's going to do a. Do you know what I was
getting thinner?
Listen, I was struggling with that one. I was like, Jesus Christ, Newcastle and Chelsea. But nah, I think Newcastle 2-1. I think they have got the momentum now. Chelsea have been a bit ropey. I think they get cuffed 4-0 2 weeks ago, did they not?
Yeah, 4-1.
Yeah.
Brighton.
4-1. Yeah,
Brighton,
I think Newcastle will do a number on them.
Andy's also gone with 2-1 Newcastle, and so have I.
Yep.
Of course.
With it being a home game, it swings it in our favour.
I think
Form is also in our favour. Potter just hasn't managed to get a tune out of them yet, so hopefully that'll continue for another week. Wolves versus Arsenal. I'll give Paddy some time to think on this one.
No, Kieran Tierney will score a rasper.
Kieran Tierney, innit?
Yep.
Probably be injured, so don't matter, does it?
Possibly, but I still back him to score anyway.
Martinelli
he did
shot
that, didn't he?
off the bench.
He scored recently, Tierney.
I think he has.
He has scored recently. I'll go 2-0 Arsenal.
Well, yeah. Same as what Andy's got in the comments there. Crippy, what are you thinking?
I went 2-1 Arsenal.
Yeah, it's got to be another Arsenal win. Liam, what have you got?
Yeah.
They're the real deal.
Yeah, I'm going to go 2-1 Arsenal.
I've got them 3-0. I keep shitting on Wolves every week and then they manage to do something decent. But it's not stopping us. Right, on to Sunday. Brighton versus Villa. Crippy, how are you feeling?
I obviously embarrassed myself not backing us against United, and I got, we won. Fantastic. I'm still not convinced we're going to win against Brighton, so I've gone for 1-1. Our away record is really bad. So I think it's the second worst in the Premier League. I know we've got a new manager now, and we play so much better against United, but I'm always the pessimistic. Yeah, I'm always, so I'll go 1-1.
Liam, what do you think?
I'm going to go Brighton. Brighton 2-1.
Yeah.
Brighton 2-1.
Thanks, mate.
Sorry. I mean, I backed you last week to beat United and you did. So.
True, I didn't. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you've only got yourself to blame there, mate.
I think everyone backed Villa to beat United apart from me.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was in the predictions. Yeah.
Villa United. No, Andy didn't. I had a draw. But everyone else.
You reckon, Pad?
Yeah, Paddy, what are you thinking? Brighton Villa?
It's a tough one, isn't it? I think Villa had a decent result the other week. They could be on the up. Have they got a new manager yet? No.
Yeah.
Yeah, Unai.
Oh, is it Unai Emery?
Yeah.
So they'll have the new manager bouncing. I'll take them for a win, 2-0 away. They don't have any former Celtic players because they couldn't afford them.
The closest we've got is obviously Hibs with John McGann.
Oh, he was a former Celtic target, but you've got him. So
there you go. Oh, true. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
We had them. We had them. And
like 3 mil. I think Celtic nearly got him for, didn't they? Yeah.
And you guys made a final phone call. It was kind of a bit more complicated than that, but a final phone call and you got him for an extra £500,000.
Yeah.
Andy's got a 2-2 draw. I'm sorry, mate. I've got 2-1 to Brighton as well.
Yeah.
Brighton are just mint this season. There's
they're good.
No way around it.
Yeah.
And the last game before the World Cup, which is just weird, is Fulham versus Man United. Paddy, what have you got, mate?
That's a hard one because you don't know what you get with Man United, didn't you know? They're just so inconsistent. I'll be honest, I don't really know much about Fulham, so I'm going to go a draw, 2-2. A Desmond.
Nice one. Crippy?
No, I've backed United to win 2-1. I'll back them to win. I think that. I think that they will. I'd feel more comfortable backing them to win than to back Fulham to get a result against them. To be honest, I know it's United and they, but yeah, I think United have got enough.
You're gonna shit out.
We'll see.
Liam,
I'm going Fulham. I like Marco Silva. I think he's doing a good job at Fulham, and to only come away with it, only just got beat at City in the last minute.
Yeah,
they were very unlucky. They deserved a lot more than that. And I'm going to go 3-1 Fulham.
3-1, a big win.
Big win.
Andy's got 2-1 for Fulham as well. I've gone with 2-2, same as Paddy. Fulham they score every week.
Yeah.
But they don't seem to win very often. It's weird. So that'll be the last score prediction we do before the World Cup. Which I still think it's shit that we've got to break for the World Cup in November, but that's the way life is. I'm sure we'll find shit to talk about each week, though.
There'll be plenty.
Of course. So I just want to thank you guys for coming on again. Paddy, it's been great to have you on, mate. Welcome
Thanks
back
for having me
anytime.
on, guys. I enjoyed it.
I want to thank Andy in the comments as well, because he's given us an extra column of scores to do for next week. If anyone has anything else they want to drop in before we go,
yeah, that's good.
Bournemouth just scored, so it's 3-1.
Right, so Liam's going away to cry.
Let's finish on a high note then, eh?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to go and type up the subtitles for the rest of the video, and hopefully everyone's going to go back and watch the first 6 minutes that we missed before we actually went live.
Fingers crossed.
Thanks very much, and if you have enjoyed it, hit all the like buttons and the share buttons and whatnot, and we'll see you again next week at 8 o'clock. Thanks very much.
Thanks, boys.
Cheers, lads.
Ta-ra.